This happened many years ago, in the late 1980s. I was much younger then, and during a short period of time, I used to hitchhike. I did it for months without any problems. I didn't have a whole lot of money during this time, and obviously, I had no car. I moved around a lot and would take buses quite often. But hitchhiking was an option where there were no buses. So, I remember that one night I was trying to go to a city about 20 minutes away. I knew pretty much where it was, and I was going to hitchhike to get there. I stood on the side of a pretty busy road. It was nighttime, and I had just finished working a temporary job. After standing on the side of the road for about 10 minutes with most cars passing by, one finally stopped. After the car pulled over, I saw that a man was behind the wheel. He rolled down the passenger side window and asked me where I was going. I told him, and then he told me to hop into the car. So, I got inside what was a pretty standard sedan for that time period, and then we left. Things started out normal. We made some brief chit-chat as we started driving. I don't remember what we talked about, but it was probably just basic stuff. Then things got quiet for a while. I remember that after probably 10 to 15 minutes of driving, the man turned off the road that we were on. I was pretty sure that it was a straight shot to get to where I was going, so I didn't know why he would turn. After we drove on this random road for a while, I asked the guy where he was going. He turned onto what seemed like another back road and then said that he had to stop somewhere first. When I asked him where, he did not answer me. Things were starting to seem kind of strange at that point. The guy kept driving through back roads and soon went onto a dirt road. This one was even quieter and seemingly in the middle of nowhere. I remember at that point I asked again where we were going. The man just said, "You'll see." When he said that, I got a terrible feeling. I desperately wanted to get out of the car. After going down this road for a while, he then started to turn. There was this really long and narrow driveway. I could not even see a house or anything because of how narrow and long it was. When the man slowed down to make the turn into the driveway, I just opened the door. Luckily, I was able to, and after doing so, I jumped out. I rolled into the grass next to the trees on the side of the drive, and I was fortunately not hurt. I heard and saw the car braking on the gravel driveway in front of me. I got onto my feet as quickly as possible and took off running in the other direction. I went to the end of the driveway and back onto the road. Then I crossed the dirt road and went into the woods. It was dark there, with no street lights, and the woods were pretty dense. I walked deep into them, and for a while, I heard the car in the distance on the road, likely trying to look for me. I kept going through the woods for a long time. Eventually, I saw another road, or possibly it was the same one, I don't even know, but I went back onto a road and walked alongside it for a long time. I was ready to dart back into the woods if the same car approached, but luckily, I never saw it. After walking that road for a really long time and eventually making it to another one, I noticed a gas station. It was thankfully open, and I went inside and asked where the nearest town was. I was told it was just about a mile up the road and that there was a motel. I ended up walking there and staying for the night. I've never forgotten that story, and I still remember it very well. I'm not sure what that man had planned, but I'm glad that I got away. Years ago, I was driving down the street one night on my way home after working pretty late. By this time, most of the roads were quiet. I had left the highway and was on more local roads. However, I still had about 15 minutes of driving left before I would get back to my apartment. As I was driving down the road, there were mostly woods on both sides. At this point, I remember that I was approaching a stop sign and saw somebody standing on the side of the road nearby. It was a man, and he had a small backpack with him. It appeared as though he was hitchhiking. This was really strange to see. I had never seen anybody hitchhiking in this area before, plus hitchhiking in general has not been very popular in a long time. It can obviously be pretty dangerous for everybody involved. When I came to a stop at the stop sign, the man looked right at me and waved as if to ask me to let him in. After briefly stopping, I accelerated through the quiet intersection and kept going. The man remained standing by the stop sign. I continued with my drive down the road. However, about a minute later, after a gradual turn in the road, it became very straight. That's when I saw a bunch of brake lights up ahead. There appeared to be a traffic jam. Cars were stopped on the road for almost as far as I could see. I had no idea why. I thought maybe there was a crash or something for this many cars to be backed up. People must have been waiting for a while, because it was late at night. So, I slowed down, and eventually, I came to a complete stop behind the car in front of me. I really didn't know what exactly was going on. After stopping, I waited, and the traffic did not move at all. I remember that after a few minutes, I actually put my car into park. I rolled down both my windows to get a breeze of fresh air, because it was a nice, cool night. I then went on my phone to look up what was going on and maybe find an alternate route. This had been the only way that I had gone home from work, and I didn't know any other routes. There weren't a ton of roads out in this area. I couldn't really find anything about it online at the moment, though, and looking ahead, all I could really see was just the brake lights of other cars. So, I continued to sit there, stopped, and I started looking for an alternate route. But suddenly, out of nowhere, I heard this noise to my right. As soon as I looked up, I saw somebody at my passenger side window. It was a man. He instantly climbed inside the window, and the next thing I knew, he was in my passenger seat. It happened so fast that I never had a chance to put the window up. And the guy was not that large, so he was able to make it in easily. After getting inside, I realized that it was the same man that I had seen hitchhiking just minutes earlier. After he got in my car, I asked him what he was doing. The guy said that he really needed a ride. I told him to get out of my car, and he said no. The guy claimed that he just wanted to go a couple of towns over. I told him again to leave my car. The man did not answer me. I didn't know what to do. To be honest, I wanted to get out of my car and run away, but I did not do that. I told the man that I was going to call the police, and the guy instantly snapped back, saying that he wouldn't let me do that. What exactly that meant, I did not know. The guy moved a little closer to me. I just pushed the horn at that point and did not take my hand off it. The man told me to stop, but I didn't. After a few seconds, some other people nearby started honking as well, probably because they were annoyed at me. The man reached over and tried grabbing my arm. I screamed for help, and my windows were open, so people had to have heard me. At that point, I could not believe it, but the man finally left. He opened up the passenger's door and leaped out. Then he ran off, disappearing into the woods that were next to the road. After that, someone actually got out of their car and was approaching me. I told them what happened and let them know that I was not honking just to be annoying. Eventually, traffic started moving. It probably took about 15 minutes. I did not see the guy at all. It turned out that the traffic jam was caused by a traffic light that had fallen over. I'm not sure if somebody crashed into it or what, but I'm glad that we got moving again. I still can't believe that the guy just jumped in my car like that. He must have seen the open window. It was one of the scariest moments of my life.